and liberty itself to Africans. Now, for the past few weeks, we've been discussing about COVID-19 and some other things as it affects our day-to-day activity. But today, we'll be discussing something different, something that doesn't concern COVID-19 or any pandemic whatsoever. Today, we are going into free market, and that's why we are reviewing a book. That's why we are reviewing a book by one of the great professors in the field of economics, and that is The Adventure of Jonathan Gullible, a free market Odyssey. And thank you so very much for every one of us for joining in today as we discuss this very important book. Okay, without much further ado, I want us to introduce ourselves. And please, those that didn't set up their cameras, please, can you please activate your camera so that we can see your face? This is more, this is a book review, a book club. So let's see your faces so that we can know who is behind the camera. Let me start from myself. My name is Leon. People call me Leon, but my name is Leonard Aogowade, and I'm the anchor and the owner of the Liberty Show. So, and this book that we're about to review, I'm rating it 4 star. Yeah, 4 star. So let's go on that. You introduce yourself, where you come from, or where you're tuning in from, and your rating of the book. So let's go one by one so that we can move from there. Who wants to come up next? Can we all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, my name is Sunny Johnson, and I'm happy to be here. That we are kickstarting this particular African Readers Club, and I'm happy to that we are picking the first one of my favorite book, The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible. I'm from Nigeria, and I currently serve as the National Coordinator Student in Nigeria. So I'm so happy to be on this show today, and to after going reading the book for how many months now, and the book really interests me that I would like to contribute in the discussion today. Thank you very much. Glenn, I thought you want to say something, Glenn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Leon, can you hear me?
Mr. Takobi,
Hello,
you can
Leon,
go
can
on.
you hear me?
Okay, is Glenn back? Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, Mr. Moses. Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Moses Sinkala. Oh, you can hear me. That's good. Yeah, okay, so my name is Moses Sinkala, joining in from Zambia. I am the local coordinator for Students for Liberty, and I'm glad to be here. Though it's unfortunate that I only got to know about the African Leaders Club, I think a week ago or so, and I only got to get the book, I think, a few days ago. So I have not read much about the book. That's the most unfortunate part, but I'm looking forward to learning more about the show, and I'm looking forward to reading much about the book, and because it seems interesting. So yeah, definitely will get to read further about the book, and probably next time I'll be able to contribute positively. Otherwise, for today, I may not contribute positively to the program, but I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses Sinkala. Okay. Okay.
All right, if you don't mind, I prefer.
So who's going up next? Let's do that on time. Let's do that on time. Who's going up
Leon,
next?
can you hear me? If you don't mind, let me just proceed. My name is Biolata Sobi, and I'm joining in from Nigeria. It's great to have.
Yeah, sure, I can hear you.
Great to have Bright Minds of Liberty on this conversation this afternoon, and it's great to have a review with on the book, and I'm very excited to participate in this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Who's going up next? Mr. Kinsley, are you going up next?
Hello, guys. Good evening and happy Sunday to you all. My name is Roland from Nigeria, and being the first readers have experienced the stories of Jonathan Gullible and how Professor Ken Schoolland has shared some adventures of the Jonathan Gullible's story. It's been an inspiring book, and I've read it so far. This is the copy. I've had to read and read and read and read. And also, it's been an amazing platform to share with some of us that are libertarians on the ideas of this book and the benefits, recommendation, and success, and how it can transform the African market and helping to advance the free market ideology across Africa and the world. So I look forward to share more light and some ideas and the benefits and feedback I got from this book. So it's going to be amazing hearing from some of us here tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roland. Tisienge, do you want to go next? Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you? So my name is James Ngoma.
I'm good.
Hi, how are you? So my name is Taxation Is from Zambia. I'm a local coordinator. Unfortunately, I've not read the book yet, but I'm looking forward to read more about it, and glad to be with you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Famara, do I get the name right? Mr. Famara Barrow. Okay. Mr. Famara, can you hear us? Okay, he has left. Glenn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I've read the book. Yes, I've read the book many times. I'm rereading it again. I also study economics, and I'm interested in economics and having people prosper anywhere they are, with their own culture and whatnot. I spent some time in Korea through their progression from not doing too well to doing quite well economically, and that's my background.
Okay, it's good to know that we have. Okay, I think we just have someone logged in. Mr. Famaro, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? Mr. Barrow. Mr. Dab, okay, good.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself. Where you joining in from?
Yeah, my name is Amara Baro. I'm local coordinator from the Gambia.
Oh, Gambia.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Have you read the book? What is your rating of the book? How many stars will you give the book on a rating of 1 to 5?
Is it from 1 to 5?
Yeah, from 1 to 5.
Yeah, I've read the book and I will give I started the book. Actually, it helps me a lot, and I learned so much about the book, and I hope to do more because I haven't finished reading it yet.
Sweet. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Mr. Dabrin, are you there?
you're welcome.
Let's hear from you. Mr. Dabrin. Okay. All right, guys. Now that the introduction is done and we've known ourselves, okay, Glenn, I see that. You give the book 5 out of 1 to 5. That means the book is super. All right, now going back to what the book is all about. Those that have read the book amongst us and those that are just actually coming in to read the book. According to the author of the book, if you have our books on Andy on page Roman numeral 3, I want to read the first paragraph there, which actually will I say do the summary of what the book is all about. Roman figure 3, that's page Roman figure 3 about this book. It said this book is fun. It challenges readers to think about why some countries are rich while others are poor. It explores alternative thinking about important economic, practical, and philosophical matters. The variety of ideas will challenge readers to ponder, question, and engage in meaningful discussion. Underlying all this is the respect for and tolerance of the individual. And some of us that have read the book, or let me say some of us that have read the chapters that we'll be considering today, which is chapters 1 to 10, you will notice that what you read so far coincides with what the author put in the first paragraph of this book. Okay, so we've known about the book. Now let's go to the page, Roman figure 5, Roman figure V, that's page 5, about the author. And if you know a book, let's know a little bit about the person that wrote the book. About the author, Ken Schoolland is presently an associate professor of economics and political science at Hawaii Pacific University. Prior to this, he was director of the Master of Science in Japanese Business Study program at Chaminade University of Honolulu and head of the Business and Economic program at Hawaii Loa College. So that's just small of what we know about Mr. Schoolland. Sorry, Mr. Schoolland. Other ones, you can read it by yourself down the page. And I will use this opportunity to say that Professor Ken Schoolland would have loved to be here today with us as we start the beginning of this book review. But currently, the time zone they are in Hawaii is 3:30 a.m. or okay, this 3:53 a.m. right now. So they're actually in Dane's night right now. So that's why he won't be able to join us today, but we'll see a way to move it together so that he can join us for subsequent discussions. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm talking to myself.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you very well.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Good. So, if you check the Jonathan guiding principle, according to what the author wrote in page 11, the principle is based on self-ownership, which means you own your life. No other person or group of persons own your life, nor do you own the life of others. And I want to believe that is the base of what we call liberty. today. So moving down to the review proper, chapter 1 of the book talks about the great storm. I want to ask us, do you think the author portrays Jonathan Gullible's adventure, the beginning of the adventure, well in that first chapter? Or do you think he will have done something better?
Yeah, sure. He actually portrayed from the beginning the adventures of Jonathan Gullible, because it all started in the morning, and one of the things that Jonathan Gullible wanted to do was to explore the island. So it shows us how someone can pursue his passion, what gives that person happiness without anybody being infringed upon. He made the decision. The Jonathan Gullible made the decision on his own to sail, took his boat on the sea and sailed through the sea and to the other island. So it's an individual decision, and it was not, there was no what they call infringement or distraction from anyone, and he eventually succeeded in getting through the island, despite that the storm was able to destroy his boat, and the outcome was not fine. But the adventure was quite a good one, because we're able to learn a lot of things as time goes on, as he had conversation with the people he met on the island. So it really portrayed the adventure itself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Let's have an opinion about this. Do we think that the author actually portrays it well? Okay, Mr. Kingsley, go ahead.
I still wanted to go back to that chapter 1, but I want to look at chapter 1, paragraph, I think paragraph 3 on that chapter 1. I want to, the part where Jonathan had, began the sailing of the boat and the movements of the whole journey. I looked at this because what we are looking at is not just the adventure, but the lessons of the adventure for individual right and freedom, the ownership of your life. It also portrays more like economic principle that talks about freedom of expression, freedom of economic decision, and that was just what Jonathan Gullible portrays in that first chapter 1. Ability to take the rights, your life in charge. The stormy sea, that was like more like a stumbling block for him, but he was able to say, like, was able to push. So even as libertarians, there comes a time when you just have to make, you make kind of economic migration for a better opportunity for your life. So that was chapter 1 to me, really portrays the adventure, because a life of mankind is all about adventure. So he took that adventure first by moving. So let's just say I'm in Nigeria and I have nothing to do. Maybe I'm not finding Nigeria funny, and there's any advantage, adventure I could take to make my life better off. It's just to make the move, because it is what the sailing, the movement you make that portrays that prove that.
I think we lost Mr. Kingsley.
Because he made the choice to sail through the boat and through the river. So that's just the whole thing for me as a young person. That's how I feel it. Ability to take charge and to overcome adventures of life.
Okay, so can we have one or two more persons say their opinion about that, because you see I have my chapters to go and start some questions. Glenn, are you there?
Yeah, I like the first chapter. It does show an adventurous spirit, an individual, trying to find out what he can by just observing. I really like the other chapters once they really dig into the economics of it, though. So it's a good introduction, but where we really can dig in is probably later on to some of the deeper economics. But a lot of it has to do with observation and
Okay.
adventure.
Okay. Good. All right. So we've seen how Jonathan Gullible started the adventure. We've seen what happened when it gets into the stormy sea, even though it does not have what it's needed, like the skills and the uh, what it needs to actually sail the boat well. But still enter the road and go into the water and sail as far as possible. And when the storm comes up on him, he find a way to go out of it. That's basically an introduction for um, chapter 1. So now, moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the book talks about troublemaker. We read that chapter 2 very well. According to that chapter 2, what is, will you say labor saving innovation, are they good or bad? Because we noticed how the woman was being dragged, arrested because of introducing a new innovation.
Yeah.
Will you say it's good or bad?
Wow. Well, it is very very good. It's just that it's portray what our society is right now. Now, once somebody is innovative and maybe creative, they intend to see that person as threat because they feel that, oh, this person may want to take most of our work and and do it in one piece. Now it's just like the way we the just like the way before now that everything is being done with labor, but now the since the world has gone global, everything is now globalized and we're in the state of technology. We're now having things being done easily. So anything that will bring us to do things easily without stress is what is good for us. Anything that will get job done for us, that will bring development, that will bring innovation, is what we should encourage. So, but based on the understanding of the other people in that book, they didn't understand that it will help, it will really help them if they're able to easily cut down the tree. They could use the tree for other things like manufacturing chair, manufacturing building house with it, and it will really help them. But wasting time on a particular tree by taking how many men to do that is going to is not too good. But they don't have the understanding, but they feel that this woman is a threat to them because he'll be coming to take away their job. And it's not, innovation is not really a threat, it's a good thing. Innovation, creativity is a good thing. So I encourage innovation and creativity.
And that's good. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your input. Do we have any other input?
Yes, like Johnson has said, to me, the whole concept of about the play that the role that Jonathan represented in the story and the adventure was not, it's like I said earlier, it's more of individual creativity, liberty, innovation, and rights to life and life to better economic development. So like what Johnson has said earlier, I think when people are allowed to be free, when people have freedom, it's create opportunity for them to be able to be creative. So where there is no freedom, I want to assume, I want to conclude that there will be no creativity and innovation, because freedom guarantees creativity, ability for you to know. When he has that opportunity to have been able to cut down the trees and all that, that was just telling us that somebody is being creative, like somebody is thinking outside the box. So in a way, when you have freedom and liberty in a society, when people are free to exercise their right, their thinking, their economic decision, nobody's making decision for them, they tend to sort it out in a calm and a peaceful way.
creative way. They tend to provide a more solution when everybody is thinking a different directions. Everybody wants to look at what will make them better off. So in a society, an economy, in an organization, or in a community where there is freedom and liberty, people will have more progress. People will be willing, or the drive that is this kind of a default creativity drive that is in you. So you must be able to exercise. So that's just part of the excellent part of the story too. Like I said, it's be able to steer the appetite for creativity and innovation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kinsley. So now let me have an auxiliary question. How can we bring that, what happened in chapter 2, into our daily activity today, into reality of today? How do you think we can bring it into reality of today? Because there is a myth about productivity, that labor-saving machinery, computers, and robots cause employment and poverty. So how can we bring what happened to that woman in chapter 2 to what is happening in our environment today? Can we all hear me?
Leon, I think this is a general question. I wouldn't want to be the first person I want to talk to them. Like maybe we should
it's a general question.
take it to them. The general should be able to contribute to this because it's more or less like an open discussion here. We talked about the book, but you are going outside the book now to tell us about our daily life now. So I think it's better we allow others contribute. We have Ademo in the house. We have Nafara in the house. Tishenji. Just I think that question could be addressed by them.
Is anyone picking that question? Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Adam, Mr. Moses, do you think if robots comes out, does it cause unemployment and poverty for people? Because fine, most people will get out of work if labor-saving machineries and computer comes in. Most people will get out of work, but does that lead to unemployment and poverty? Is this something we are not seeing that we're supposed to see?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Damo.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Actually, it's a great honor to be here speaking, actually. Regarding the robots creation, when robots comes in place, whether there will be unemployment and maybe the people won't be able to get more jobs. I don't see actually that as a very good and clear sound way, because even these robots that are being created are a way of easing man's task to focus on doing more things. Because as these robots come in play, they will help in performing other tasks and make things that are more tedious to become less tedious. Like let's say what robots can actually do in what human beings can do in 2 days, a robot can do it in hours. I hope everyone is hearing me.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that since when the time that people would have been wasting to accomplish all those things within those 3 days that the robot will perform in hours, all this thing will increase man's creativity to think further, rather than wait for those 3 days before all these things will be accomplished or done. Man, I already have over 71 more hours to think of other things to do because of the time that the robot has saved. So this will actually improve one's creativity, because once and regarding the unemployment that they claim it won't create, that will actually create more employment, because more people will come, there will be more things to think about, and there will be more productivities. taking place.
Thank you very much for that thought, Mr. Adamu. Um, One thing that people forget actually is that money saved on the wages of redundant worker is used by consumer to purchase more product. Okay, I think Glenn just put something on the chat box. Robots will cause a shift in employment. We live in a world of nearly unlimited wants. Yeah, economics. I think economics says that human wants are insatiable. The focus should be on the customer. Otherwise, we'll work hard without satisfying as many wants as we could. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Fine, robots can come in and there may be temporary unemployment in certain sector as consumers, producer, and worker adjust to new demands. And one thing is, many workers will eventually get employed in a wide range of employment opportunity that use a great diversity of talent. So, to a larger extent, innovation is not a threat; is a means of improving the productivity of any nation or any place. So, knowing that, we'll move to the common tragedy, a common tragedy. That is chapter 3. What does the author mean by the word a common tragedy when he was writing? Um, the first question for this chapter 3 is, how do people take care of things that belongs to everyone? Knowing fully well that this thing belongs to everyone, how do they take care of it? Let's hear your opinion now.
Good afternoon. I'm obliged.
Can I say something on the particular subject?
You can go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You can go on.
So for me, I feel how the question is, how can people take care of things that belong to the public? I feel every opportunity comes with an obligation. So when we have an opportunity to do something of the public, let's say for instance, public transportation, we've got the obligation to definitely take care of it. So to consider your environment, is it clean? Where am I seated? Am I keeping clean? Am I infringing the rights of my neighbor? So for me, when I look at the obligation of us, or rather, how should we take care of things that we use now, or rather, things that are for everyone, we need to always take in consideration the obligation that comes with the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Abdullah, I don't want to talk the other time. Let's go ahead.
Yes, I want to say, I think, according to the author, there is no way a public property can be managed effectively unless it is transferred to the private, because the idea that a private individual will want to take care of something that he knows that he is responsible to, and he knows that if there is any improvement in there, he's going to get the profit. But the fact that if he works hard and to let that particular establishment be more efficient, the profit or the gains is going to get in there is not his own. So that's why the man put it very articulately that it is better for property to be handled by individual rather than public.
Network issue. Okay. Mr. Tijani, if you can hear me, you can put your comment weekend you talk in section, I will read it out loud.
Okay. Hello.
Mr. Tijani, can you hear me? We
Can you
can
guys?
hardly hear what you're saying.
Okay. You can't hear what I'm saying. Can you hear what I'm saying now? Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you, Tijani.
Okay. I said.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Like I said, the author portrayed that it's better for individual to manage property than public, because if there's any profit from the from the establishment, the profit may not be distributed or be its own, and it is the one that make the effort. So if someone is not going to gain the effort, reap the benefits of his effort, that person will not give more like not give more effort for that particular establishment. So if there's and that establishment will in no time be less efficient and effective. So that's why if you want efficiency in any institution, it should rather give it to the private rather than public. How does it?
Hello, Mr. Leon. Hello, Mr. Leon. Wow. Leon?
Yeah, it's like he has a problem because he just left the meeting. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll come back right now. He will soon come back right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just got that. Go ahead. That I should take over from where Leon stopped from Glenn. I think I will just do that so that you can just come online and meet us from where we stopped. So I think I'll just give a very clear I take from the chapter 3. I would say that government government of the day usually select people for us. Sinkala, can you mute your mic, Moses? Okay, government of the day usually select people for us, like who will govern us, or maybe it could be through election. But these people are not going there to do what we favor the masses, the people who they are representing, what to give a better life to the people they are representing. So they are concerned about their pocket. So I look at one of the best way to manage a thing to me as a libertarian, I feel the civil society. When a group of people come together and when it has to do with spontaneous order, we are making this particular law. This is how we want to address the issue of just like the manner. If the civil society that is handling that issue, whereas there is a unanimous agreement, and people they could just say, "Oh, we will make a law that that will be fair and just for people not to pour dirt into the river, because when you pour dirt into the river, it causes pollution to the water, and we may not get fish from the water." And they could set up laws that is fair enough, and people will live by it because it's like a unanimous agreement. It's like a spontaneous order for people to live by. So, if it's a group of people who come together to make a law on how they could address the issue of the pollution of the water in the book of Jonathan Gullible, it will have been a good thing, because I feel that people do well when they agree on a particular thing. So that is my take on the book on Jonathan Gullible. I think I don't know, maybe Mr. Leon is online to continue from where he stopped. Mr. Leon? Mr. Leon? Hello? I don't know if everybody heard me. What I just my contribution. Hello?
Sorry, my network took me away. I don't know. The network here is
Okay.
somehow today.
Sorry. I want to really know if everybody.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay. Sorry, Leon, before you.
Can you hear me? I'm here now.
We can hear you. Before you went off, I was actually.
Hi, I'm here.
I can hear you. Can you not hear me? Okay. Can you not hear me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, Sunny. Go ahead.
You can hear me, but did you hear the contribution I gave? Did you hear the contribution I gave? Like
yes, we got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that means
I did get your contribution.
Okay, like in chapter 3 of the book, it's talking about a fisherman who could not get the fish from the river. He was trying to fish. So he said Jonathan was trying to interrogate him and what's really happening? Who managed the water? The water? And they said they are lords who select managers to manage the water, and in turn the manager are always concerned about their pocket. They don't think about the masses. They are looking for how they could just get money, but how they could just enrich themselves, not not to satisfy the masses. Now the issue is that I feel that civil society, a group of people coming together, making laws for themselves and agreeing on a particular thing will easily solve the issue that they are having in that particular book of Jonathan Gullible. So I feel in our day-to-day society, civil society is more effective in carrying out woman's needs. So I don't know. That's my take on that chapter 3. Leon, can you hear me now? Hello, Leon. Hello, Leon.
Sunny, while you're waiting for Leon to come,
okay,
I wanted to point out something from that chapter 3.
Okay.
We are trying to look at what are the common the thing we have always known as strategy of the common. What are the common, like what are those strategies of the common? Because in this first chapter, we saw how Jonathan drew the whole thing and his stand on the issue. He said Jonathan had someone's voice warning, I wouldn't drink the water if I were you, because you know that tells us a lot of things about the strategy of the common. That when things are left in the care of no one, you know what that means to everybody. It means a lack of care and maintenance and all that. Now, if it belongs to you, you know how to take care of it. I mean, this is a copy of my book. This is my book. But if this book now is in the library, okay, and everybody goes there to read it, you know that nobody takes care of this book. So at the long run, this book might not remain like this because people will just want to use it as they wish. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, that chapter 3 is trying to tell us that ownership is very important. When there's ownership, there's longevity. When there's longevity, there will be utilization, because ownership and utilizations are the thing that it's just what is happening today in a society where the socialist government tells you that they provide school for you. Everybody goes there, they mess up the school, they mess up things that are for public uses. Nobody have time to run maintenance on it. But if it's a public, you find out that public establishments and government establishment, the publics tend to be like the enterprise that is an ownership that's hereditary to that. So somebody owns it, you claim it, you have it. So be able to manage it, be able to run it, be able to make sure that you run a good maintenance. But when it is for the public, that's the strategy of the common comes in. Nobody gives attention to what happens. Nobody cares about it. So what is chapter 3 is trying to tell us that for Jonathan, why he was unable to drink that water is based on that principle of the strategy of the common. So as libertarian ideologies, we need to keep promoting that everything that has to do with consumption, behaviors, social amenities, and all that should have a root of ownership. Who is owning who, or who owns it, or who has the right to own all these things. So you certainly understand that even you as an individual, if you have a business, the way you take care of your business is different from the way somebody or the government will take care of his business. So the three lessons here is telling us that when nobody owns nothing, nobody, I mean, if not when nobody owns nothing, then you believe that there is nothing that is functioning. So ownership helps us to identify the real, the real longevity, the longitude of that thing. So I think that aspect of this chapter 3 is trying to explain that aspect for us to understand how ownership and what ownership means for us as libertarians, and why it is good for us to have the right to, to own things, and why we should be able to take charge of our life. Because when nobody takes care of things that belong to us, it don't have to
Thank you very much, Mr. Can you please mute your? Can you please all mute our mic if we are not speaking? We are not interference.
Okay, Mr. Leon. Mr. Leon.
Okay, I
Hello?
can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, before you came, we've been giving our contribution on chapter 3, and we've got, and even Glenn give his own contribution. Myself, I did give my contribution, and Roland has given us a clear understanding about that chapter 3. So we're good to go, maybe on chapter 4 right now.
Okay, thank you. My network has been, I don't know, it's crazy today. Okay, so moving on to chapter 4 of the book, The Food Police. The question is, who benefits more when there is food scarcity in an environment or in a country? The government or the people living in that country? Because according to the book, we saw how the food police came and dragged the husband of that woman away. And even the council of Lord give another person the authority to their house. So how can we bring that into our own environment today? What government owns and how it's affecting us as individuals? Mr. Sonny, you want to say something?
Well, okay. I would just say that's where individual liberty comes in. I would say government should not be the one to dictate on how we produce in our various in our own establishment. If you look at that book, the food police are trying to regulate the productions of food, how much the number of grains they need to plant, the farmland that they need to plant in, their production, and it's not supposed to be so. To me, government is just there to make sure they create an environment for business to flourish, for individual prosperity. But when that is taken away, it's our right is being trampled upon, and we are not able to get the best out of life as we want to, because the lands based on, because of the husband could not live up to expectation, could not follow the rules. But it's not his fault that he was able to produce more than the others. He did this job very well. He was able to take care, graze the land very well, able to plant the right seeds, and got a good harvest from the land. And but the government do not want to understand that. They feel that if there is too much, if there is too much food in the land, there will be the cost of the food will be low, and that's a good thing. But to that understanding, as at that particular time, they don't want food to be too surplus in the land. And it's a good thing if food is surplus in the land. So if we want prosperity in our day-to-day life right now, we want prosperity. So it's an opportunity for us to, if we want to prosperous, we need to give people an open hand to do, to open hand to support what bring prosperity in our land. So that's just what I can say about that particular chapter 4.
Okay. In most of the countries in the world, Nigeria to be precise, there is a law that they call the Land Use Decree Act, which says that the government owns all the land. How can we bring that into this for the Nigerians in there, or for other countries that have the same kind of law in place? Can we all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, the fact that you live in your house for 20 something years, for 30 something years, does not mean the government cannot come and take up your land and give it to someone else, or let them just turn it to place to somewhere a park. There is a case of such in Osun State some times ago. A school was demolished to build a mall. And the children in those schools, the students in those schools were scattered around and all. We've seen cases of government pulling down houses in order for them to do road. So how can we bring that into this situation?
If I can say something about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think the law that stipulated that the Land Use Act, I think it came into force during the regime of Obasanjo when he was the military head of state. And what really caused that was, as we were told, that some people, when the government needs their land to construct roads or public property, they will like preventing government to do such. So the military head of state then, or the military rulers then, they now decree that all the lands belongs to the government. Actually, that was the during military, and the law has already been changed to act, and we are still using the law. And it is detriment to Nigerian people, because having been living on a land or constructed particular construction building on that particular land does not guarantee a person of owning that land. That is an infringement of property rights on this particular, even if that particular land is owned by one's grandfather's or family land, according to that decree, or that still belongs to the government. So it deprives people of their property rights, and it gives governments more power over expropriation of people's land. I think it does not encourage the incentive that you get when people believe that I own my property and I can do anything I like with it. So if anybody wants to build something on a family land now, or to do something, anything with it, such person we have to think twice, even if that particular project will bring prosperity to the community. That particular private individual, we have to think twice so that government will not come one day and say that this land belongs to the government and should be expropriated.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have any other comments about that? All right. In many countries, efficient farmers who grow an abundance of food or sell food at too low a price can be fined and imprisoned. This government meddling in the economy of a violation of individual rights and a practical and a main matter is detriment to consumers. And it is noteworthy to know that the reason why people are poor is not because some farmers produce too much. High production lowers prices and benefits everyone, including the poor. Instead, people are made poorer because efficient farmers are prevented from producing. And with such diversion is accomplished by government control boards, tariffs, and subsidies. Even efficient farmers lose the incentive to produce. And such subsidies are introduced. Once they're introduced, they tend to remain in place forever. Like that one we have for Nigeria now. The land use decree was done some time ago and is still intact up to today. So it will take a very unusual courage on the part of a politician to remove them. And as of now, case study of Nigeria was not seen a politician that is strong enough to remove that. So if there is no government interference, consumer demand will control what and how much is produced by the price they are willing to pay. So limited government with no government interference on what to produce, on how to produce it, will actually increase the production level. Okay, now moving on to the codes and candles. When I was reading this particular chapter, it got somehow because I couldn't know why someone would think of taxing people because of the sun. Okay, so I'm going to ask a general question for that chapter 5. The author brought out the idea of candle and quotes from what happened in England some time ago when they actually petitioned and write lobby with the politicians to get them a law that ban people from having more window. The more window you have, the more taxes you pay. So how can we compare that to our day-to-day today? What are the things that the government put in place that looks like the candle and the coat tax that you're paying according to that chapter? Do we all understand the question? Or should I come again? Oh.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay. I was saying that in chapter 5, quote and candle, Jonathan Gullible get to this city, and after all the orders and everything, he got in and he saw this woman well dressed beside the road with a petition. And the petition is to stop, to tax the sun, because the candle and the coat people are not actually selling because the sun produces heat and it also produces light. So people producing light, people producing candle and people producing coat are not selling. And now they are lobbying with the politicians, with the Lord, as it were in the chapter, to get a tax in place. So how can we bring that to our current situation of this world situation? What can be similar to it? Can we bring importation and exportation into it?
Sorry, if I can say something regarding that.
Adamo, please go on.
Exactly. Like we know of this chronism of a thing. Yeah, like I want to make it very clear, like this chronism of a thing, where politicians that have connection with this, with our mighty government, then when they see that their market isn't progressing and it's happening because to stop some goods from coming into the country in order to progress selling and at the detriment of others without any consideration. So this is the same exact scenario that is happening with the Candle and Co, where the woman wants to sign a petition in order to stop people from to stop the sun from coming so that they will be able to sell their candles. This is exact scenario. It's more like chronism to me. That's what I say. It's my own point of view. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do you have any other person that have any
Yes.
contribution to them?
Let me quickly give like an example that I think is very similar or close to the example given. I think this issue when the government closed the border, closed the border, or when they restrict the movement of importation of goods, simply because they want people to start consuming Nigerian rice. So, and again, there was this time when Dangote wanted to start production of tomato paste, and he exclusively asked the government to stop production of tomato paste because he wants to start production of the product. So I think this kind of thing, when the government try to restrict or put some kind of difficult situation to a particular product, simply because there will be a local production is similar or close to the example given inside the book.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, so I want to point out one thing there on page 23 of the book, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On paragraph 5, the woman said, "I don't understand the voters or the brewer or the baker. Sensing a change in Jonathan's attitude, she snatched away the precision. Obviously, they are more interested in some selfish consumer whim than in protecting the security of job and sound business investment." Good day to you, she said, ending the conversation abruptly. Which is why I'm going to read what Glenn wrote in the chat box. The sun competes with other sellers, so these sellers are odd. The story is similar to international trade, but the focus should be on how our wants are fulfilled. I think that's what is trying to say there. So with that paragraph I read from the book, it shows that the woman is just running a selfish thing about himself. She just want to get out there, lobby, and get whatever she needs to get, just to make sure that everything works fine for our people. Okay, so I think the lesson from there, the ethical lesson from there, is that we have more cronies that will practice pure cronyism with the government. They will do whatever they have to do, lobby with the government, even if even if they have to give them something, bribe them so that they can actually get their way. So, all right. Do we still have any other comment on chapter 5? Anyone? Okay. Okay, now moving on to the toll tax. That's chapter 6 of the book, the toll tax. The question I have for that is it proper to use tax to manipulate behavior? Glenn, I think we're moving into the what's it called, small now. Okay, Adam, please go ahead.
Okay, sorry for that. This using of tax to regulate one's behavior, how one should be, something that some way as explained there, the thought tax. This is more like, I don't know, questioning how someone should be giving birth to. This is something that is unknown to the person that was giving birth to. And this forms of tax are very ridiculous. This tax of a thing actually is something that is more like theft, as explained. And we have seen how people are being oppressed with it. And forcing it to affect one's behavior is more like dictating for someone the way you should live. This is a form of dictatorship. That is can say for that.
Okay. Do we have any other comment?
Okay. I would say,
Please continue, Mr. Sonny.
okay. I will not support any form of. I think that's, to me, that's more or less like discrimination against one's uh, against another race, against one's nature, because those who are tall, they did not give birth to themselves. That's how they were giving birth to. So and I feel that it's because, and that's what had bring about uh, toleration. That's where we had toleration in the society. Just because you feel that this person is tall, has other advantage more than you, should not be a threat to you, because I feel that there is a place that you can function well and you can do well without trying to see how you can maneuver your way and be ahead of that person because you feel that person is more or less ahead of you. So toleration is one of the things we must understand. If a woman being that does because somebody is black or because you're white doesn't mean you feel blacks they have a way of theft or they do criminal activities, and you intend to you intend to look them in another way by discriminating on them, by feeling that, because we feel that you should not use one person act to join me. I feel we should not use one person act to join another. So being tall is not the fault of uh, an individual. So I feel toleration is one of the things we should give the equality. Everybody should be equal before the law. Let me use that summary. Everybody should be equal before the law, whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are tall, whether you are short. What is accorded to A to tall person should be accorded to B, because you are because a person is tall does not mean he should pay tax. So I feel that is not all right. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. On page 28, paragraph 4, I want to bring out something there. If you can check your book, page 28, paragraph 4. The man continued and said, only those who refuse to get on their knees. The man said, of course, we've allowed an exception for politicians. We usually vote tall. We like to look up to our leaders. Uh, are we going to say, according to that paragraph, are officials more wise and moral than their subjects? Abdullah, you can say what you want to say. You say you want to say something, Abdullah.
Yes, I would say like Adamo has said, the toll tax is very ridiculous. And I don't actually think that will be a government that will say going to be taxing people because they are toll, actually. But I think the author just used euphemism to explain the governments that use tax to, like, if someone is rich or if he has a business that is growing, such person will be taxed than those that don't have business or have more small businesses. So those kind of thing, I think, is what the author is trying to tell us here. And this particular tax to, like, giving to someone in higher position and not giving to someone in lower position is discrimination.
Okay. Do we see have any other person that wants to say something about that? Anyone? Okay. So the idea is when government don't want something or they have less desire for something, according to the author of the book, they tax it. And I think we've seen that in our day-to-day activity as well. So in other words, the state is discouraging work and self-responsibility. And they tend to tax efficiency and subsidize inefficiency. So that the authors thought about that. And government do this by controlling people through taxes, licenses, and regulation which upset the economy. They increase costs and reduce the demand for labor. And what of this leads to eventually? It leads to hostility and violence between groups that are on different sides of government face. And we've seen that time without number in our economy. Okay, now moving on to chapter 7, best laid plan. We're talking about best laid plan. Is it okay for the government to take house away from someone? The person built the house, did everything inside it, but the government came and took the house from that person. According to what we read in that book about that old woman standing outside telling Jonathan Gullible that he did everything, the nails and the board, but now the government is taking it from and they want to build a park there. Do you think it is okay for the government to take away house from someone or take anything from someone?
It's not okay.
It's not okay. Okay, good. Now, what's the problem with superior ownership or eminent domain as used in that chapter 7?
Problem with what?
What's the problem with superior ownership or eminent domain as used in chapter 7 of the adventure of Jonathan Gullible?
Please, can you explain superior ownership? I don't understand.
Okay. Eminent domain, we actually is that a Latin word for superior ownership as well. And that means the authority of the state to take private property for public use. It's actually an act of aggression, and which illustrates the way government abuses their power. So, according as it's used in that particular chapter, or has been depicted in that chapter, is it a problem? What do you think the problem is with using of force or abuse of power to take property from the public? Okay, Glenn says if someone can be taken away at any time, there is less inactive to improve the thing or make it productive long term. Glenn, I don't think I get that. Can you maybe speak on that? I didn't get that right.
Yeah, if somebody can take away your farm at any point in time, there's less incentive to make the soil more fertile, to take out the stones, to make the soil much better. So you're going to, because you're putting work into it that's going to be taken away. So you'll probably just would plant what you can and kind of deplete the soil because you don't know how long you're going to have that soil to use. That would be one example. Another example could be a business or anything else. If you can't keep that property or at least get the value back out of it, there's less incentive to put value into it. Am I making sense?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Okay. Now, the woman said she pays her tax and everything, but still they still want to remove his house. According to I said, they condemn my house, gave me some money for what they said it was worth, and now they are going to clear it away to make a park. The park will have a nice big monument at the center, a monument to one of their own. So, can we say that the price they give for this set of compensation, or what do they call it? Do you think it will ever worth it for the owners of the house?
I doubt so,
Mohammed.
actually, because the way she was yes, if at all she was the one that was supposing, it's not that I'm even in support of the authority taking over our property, but what I'm saying is that supposing they were able to compensate her, she should be the one to determine the amount she spent on it, the labor, and how much she thinks it worth. Not the government, assuming how much it worth and then paying her for that. That is why she was very furious that when Jonathan met her. It's actually a kind of very ridiculous thing. I mean, someone has worked hard for his team. Let the person have his property right to use what they have built. This a kind of not allowing someone to have ownership, to be able to predict what will happen to his or her property for years. Someone has his property. I believe the person should know how and what they want to do with the property.
Yeah, sure. Okay, now moving to, do we still have anybody that want to say anything about chapter 7 before we move to?
Yes, like I said, yes, that's it. Like I said this. I think this particular thing is applicable in Nigeria. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Mohammed, please. Mohammed, please, can you, is it Mohammed talking or Adam, mute your mic?
In taking a property
Mohammed, you are breaking up. I can't hear you.
Adam, we can't hear you.
Abdullah, let's hear you. I think Adamu has been muted already.
Okay. I said this particular thing I want to bring something closer to it, something we all know happening in Nigeria. If government wants to construct any public property, according to the law, they are going to like check the worth of that of the land, not even the property. What the land worth at that particular time. So the government will pay the owner of that property the amount of the land. So it's not even the man that will bring the person that will survey or do anything. It's the government that will do everything, and the government will pay him the amount he or she likes. So this particular thing discourages people from ever constructing or building anything that they know will be beneficial to the community.
Thank you very much for that.
Can I say something?
Please drop it in the comment section. No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I hope I'm going through here. The value that she gets for the house, even if it is a market price for the house, if we're going to respect her as an individual, we need to realize that maybe to her, the house is much more valuable. So even if she's getting the market price, it kind of takes away her individuality of making the house the way she wants to for herself long term. That's just something I thought I'd bring up quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Glenn. Okay, now moving on to chapter 8, two zoos. That chapter depicted two sides of a wall, wired wall. One is filled with animals, big wild animals. And the other side is filled with human wearing striped white and black clothing. I believe we've read the chapter, and now the question is, should people be forced to pay tax? Can you all hear me? Must we force people to pay tax? Hello?
No, we are not to force people to pay tax. I would say we are not to force people to pay tax. As a libertarian, taxation is theft. Taxation is theft, and one of the major reasons what is this tax made for? Somebody who is able to open up his own business for the sake of to be able to take care of his needs, and you come and you feel, oh, we're going to tax you for doing so well in your business, we're going to take a good sum from you, and in the long run, the government do not even
the outcome of this tax and what they use it for is not even for me. It's not actually, it's not formidable enough for them to take that tax. So I feel you did not help me make the production, not help me make profit in my business. There's no way you are able to help me to be prosperous in my business, and you are coming to take tax from me. I feel that it's not that okay. And taxation to me is theft. As a libertarian, we have much all believe that taxation is not an ideal way of how to help businesses grow. So taxation to me is not, is theft to me.
Okay. Now, when people refuse to pay their taxes, there are government sanctions on them and all and all. Now, looking at that two-sided wired bars, one is for animals and one is for humans. Bringing it down now, we can say one is for the citizen, the civilian, and one is for the politician and the lawmakers of today. Now, the question is, using that as a justification for today, on which side of the fence are the people who are harming others are? Do we get the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, can we give comment on that? Okay, I should repeat the question. Okay. There are two sides on this road that Jonathan Gullible passed. One side is actually filled with wild animals, and the other side is filled with humans, that people that have been arrested because they did not pay their taxes. Now, bringing that scenario back to our day-to-day activity today, one side of that bar of the civilians, and the other side are the lawmakers. So, which of these sides actually harms the other in this context? Did you understand the question?
Did you say which side has defaulters?
Which side harms the other? Harm the other. Because on a normal day, if they should unleash the wild animals from one other side of that iron bar, so the other side, they will automatically devour them. So in this context, which of these uh, sides are going to the context right now? Which side? Let me see, glance. Yeah. On which side are people harming others? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Going. Yeah, the zoo versus the prison. Can we have comment on that? Okay. We should all know that the bureaucrats are civil servants. Okay, the prison people get more armed. Okay, Glenn, can you expatiate on that? Unmute your mic and expatiate on that.
Yeah, the prison people in this case are getting harmed. Now, you could say whether they deserve it or not, but there's definitely harm being done. They would be better off in many cases to be let out of prison where they could work and trade with others, help themselves and help others. In the prison, people have to pay tax to keep them in the prison. And it harms not only the prisoners, it's harming the taxpayers that have to pay to put the prisoners in prison.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, now let me read the author's conclusion about this. If one considers the public service provided by the state or by the municipality, and one then consider how many of these are used by only a small portion of the population, one can see the private enterprise is a fairer system. Private enterprise is more motivated to efficiently serve the people who are willing to pay for the services. Only those people using the service would pay. Competition for customers will provide incentive to give competitive services, prices, and customer care. Those who are not interested in the service will not be made poorer by having to pay for service they do not require. These people would keep their money for services they consider beneficial to themselves. So the idea of this chapter is that the private enterprise is a fairer system because you should pay for what you use and not what you don't use, or what someone just wants you to pay for, whether you use it or not. So moving on to chapter 9, I think we only have just one more. This meeting should end in about 15 minutes or thereabouts. So now, making money. This chapter talks about the printing press. I mean, the people that are printing money, the means industry that means print money for that time, and it discusses how if more money go into the circulation, what happens, and all and all. So now, what could cause inflation in any society? Let's understand that. I think because we're dealing with free market economy, we're dealing with economics. I think this is where economics start fully in this book. When there are too much money in circulation, what happens? As depicted by the author in the book.
The narrative of printing too much money in the book, if we go by the law of demand and
by the monetary policies, the law of demand and supply of money and the rest things.
You know, when there's too much money in circulation in the hand of people, it's just like saying that when there is like, it's more like saying, how would I say?
It's more saying that when there is the paradox of value, when there is too much money in circulation, when government prints a lot of money, it gives room for people to have more money. And when people have money, people will not want to work. But when there's a limited amount, let's assume that the more money that's in circulation is based on how you work. That's like fairness. But if government do print a lot of money, you know what that means? Like it means that people will not be willing to work and they're supposed to work. You understand? So now
The fact that governments have the right to print money, they have the legal tender to print money or the legal right to print legal tenders, does not mean that money should be in circulation. Excessive circulation of money. There's a principle in economics that when there is much money in circulation in the economy, the inflation rate will increase. Okay, so too much money gives rise to more inflation. If I was to remember that basic principle of economics, it means that when there is too much money in circulation, the inflation rate increases because people will have more money. So you now have more. You see people having more money to purchase little or fewer goods. So that means that the supply for goods will fall because now people have more money. People don't want to work. Everyone wants to buy and buy and buy. So I think that there is no really fairness in that aspect. So money, printing of money and circulation of money has to be average or has to be at equilibrium with the supply and demand for goods and services so that we'll be able to have a real and tangible economy. So that's just it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Roland. Who else have anything to say about that? Glenn, do you have any opinion about this? I think we are in the.
I don't have a whole lot to say. I guess Zimbabwe had quite a bit of inflation, and that was terrible there. So I don't know how many of you were following that. That was a few years, several years back. And when you print money that way, it can really destroy the economy really bad. That's all. Over to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Glenn. So now, when there is price increment, like when there is rising in prices around, according to the paragraph, who is supposed to be blamed?
Can you repeat that question? I didn't get that.
When there is increase in price, when there is increase in price in an environment or in a community or in a nation, who is to be blamed?
Now, when there is so much money in circulation, based on that principle, there is so much money in circulation, government has printed a lot of money, and that has originated the increment in prices. It tells you that the government are to be blamed because government engineers the increase in circulation of money. But normally, the law of demand says a conscious capitalist will make a profit according to its cost. But when now there is now more money printed by the government, it hurts the economy. The economy becomes volatile, becomes very rugged and volatile and hot in a way, economically hot for operation. So you see prices now skyrocketing because there's so much money. Government is pumping money into the economy. We want people to have money. You use money to do elections and all that. So there's so much money. People don't want to work. Everybody's holding money. Nobody wants to go to work. Nobody wants to get to the field to produce. Everybody's there. So that means that government, we are running more like an interventionist government or an interventionist economy. So that hurts the economy. It's because when the prices are skyrocketing, individuals can now buy according to the number of money. So they're now pushing a lot of resources to be able to afford certain amount of goods or commodities. So I think that one government takes blames for that. It's a policy of the government. So government takes responsibility for that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roland. Do we have any other person? Mr. Barrow, we've not heard your voice for a while. Are you still there? Okay, now moving to the final chapter of today, chapter 10, which talks about the dream machine. Before we dive into the dream machine, what does what does Stanstaffel means? Like Tanstal. What does it mean? Anybody that have read the book will actually understand what that word means. And that will give us some kind of understanding of the next question. Tanstal.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Okay, Glenn.
There's,
There's no such thing as free lunch. I don't know that acronym exists, but I can remember growing up. I can remember growing up. They used to say something like this in my village back then. There's no free thing anywhere, even in free
yes,
town.
very true. You're giving up something, even if it's just your time or something else you could have done. You're giving up something to get a so-called free lunch. Over to you.
Yeah.
So now, according to what we have in that paragraph, whose dream actually really came true in this chapter? The dream machine makes dream comes true. But in this case, whose dream came true according to that chapter, as that chapter depicted? If we read it between the lines in that chapter, we will understand whose actually whose dream came true. I just dropped the question in the comment section. Whose dream came true in the chapter? Because if you notice, towards the end of the chapter, Jonathan Gullible was asking the man that, but your machine did not work. People still get fired. The company still closes down. But the man mentioned one thing, which actually shows whose dream came true. So whose dream came true in the chapter?
Oh, do you want me to answer?
Hello? Yeah, Mr. Glenn, please go ahead.
Yeah, it was some foreign competitors of the factory. So even though the factory could have done well to produce very good goods, the competitors of the factory were one of the beneficiaries. There might have been others. Over to you.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. So now, when a company closes down in a place and they move to another location to set up the company, according to the paragraph says that the people they are moving, the new neighborhood they are moving into, sees as an opportunity to grow, sees as an opportunity to get more job. But what is that? What does that mean for the people they are leaving behind if they cannot move back into it? So, with that expression, what do you think the author is trying to portray to us as individuals? A company closing down in one place and moving to another place to set up their company again. What do you think the author is trying to bring to us? Let us understand about that. Prof. Anyone?
I think the lessons there is to understand that value is important. The great lessons is that value is very key, because for them to have started up here and wanted to also set up in another place shows that there's a progressive. So as like it's more like an immigration moving from one point to another for economic reasons, because for them to have closed down to moving to another place is as a result of wanting to make economic decisions and wanting to make economic benefits. So moving from one place to another to set up again is a progression of value creation, individual liberty, and freedom to exercise production, and creating wealth, and also creating opportunity for employment.
Okay, thank you very much. Glenn said the competitors of the closed factory caused by the dream machine caused business to move somewhere else because of what they are demanding for. Actually, if you read the book, was notice that that is because of what they are demanding for, and all and all and all. Okay, now, my last question for chapter 10 will be: do we have any alternative to legal tender? What is the alternative to legal tender? Anyone? Because if we notice that the final part of that chapter 10, Jonathan was given money for what he did, and he asked, wait, can you give me something that will not lose value? And the response of Mr. Tanstafield was, it's legal tender power, you got to take it. Do you think I use this stuff if I had a choice? Just spend it quickly. So do you think we have another alternative to government legal tender? And if yes, what is it?
Hello? I would say yes, I would say government alternative to legal tender would be the cryptocurrency right now, because it has really helped us in the area of financial freedom. The restriction on the transfer of funds from one individual to another, it has break the barrier. This middleman of banks dictating how we're going to transfer our money, and it has really give us a clear knowledge of doing business easily without having an issue to how to transfer our money to our business partners all over the world and the other part of the world. And it has, in fact, some time ago, I was organizing some cryptocurrency event, because one of the major area that I concentrate on as a libertarian is financial freedom and entrepreneurship. So Robert Lewis is one of the co-founder of Horizon, so I have a knowledge of on cryptocurrency. So I was, each time I want to host any event, I do get a couple of $150 to $200 to host a particular event, and it's easy for him to transfer funds to me to organize that event, because there is no barrier, there's no charges, and even though there's going to be charges, the charges are on a minimal part. It's really I feel that what the other alternative that government need to look at in the area of a legal tender is embracing the cryptocurrency world, especially Bitcoin. And really, as a person who make use of Bitcoin for the payment of goods and services, I feel it is very easy. I want to get things online, I want to get things done. Once I ask the person, do you have Bitcoin? And do you operate on Bitcoin? Do you have Bitcoin wallet? Can I send you Bitcoin? And if it's the person agree immediately, before you know, we've done our transaction easily without any third party, without taking longer time to get things done. So I think the other alternative to legal tender should be cryptocurrency to me. I hope I'm okay.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other person? The alternative to legal tender? Any other person? Okay. All right, yeah, fine, Mr. Sony, thank you. Glenn, do you think we have another alternative to legal tender?
Yes, I don't know what would be the best, but maybe I'm thinking also there's a gold standard or backed up or something backed up by the gold standard. We have other currencies in the past. I don't know how soon that's going to happen, but with cryptocurrency, it seems to be very popular. The only thing is how quickly it can go through a transaction. If that can be quick and made to be quicker, I think that would help a lot. So yes, I think there's alternatives, and I'd like to see what's available. Over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Abdullah, do you think there is something else that can use as an alternative to cryptocurrency?
Well, I would say since to forcing someone to to choose the particular currency to use is actually infringement on liberty. But still, I don't actually think there is any alternative. As Mr. Sonia has said right now, I think this cryptocurrency is a very good way to go.